Good afternoon and welcome to Destination Wellbeing. My guest this afternoon is Michelle Matthers, and Michelle is an ergo therapist and using Maya massage techniques. Our conversation today was really going to be around fertility and I suppose women's health issues, and hopefully some hints and tips that we can share with you, our viewers, on how we can help to preserve our fertility, maybe maintain it, look after that very important part of the female, of the woman, that often gets neglected and we don't usually pay very much attention to it until there is a problem, would be certainly what I would find, Michelle. So welcome along to Destination Wellbeing, Michelle.
Thanks very much for having me.
You're very welcome. And just to remind our viewers, as always, that it's important, if they have any concerns about their health or their wellbeing, that obviously their first protocol is their medical practitioner, their GP, maybe if it's further into pregnancy, obviously health visitors and things like that, but always to visit their medical practitioner first, and that really our experience or our conversation is based on our own experiences, but their first protocol is always to do their own research and look after your own health and your own wellbeing. So Michelle, you've recently just returned from doing some training in a new therapy that's relatively new into the Northern Ireland market, and certainly into even Ireland as well as a whole. Could you want to introduce yourself and tell our listeners a little bit about how you got into it and what it is?
Well, basically my job initially was I'm a paediatric nurse working up in the local hospital. I have a degree in nursing sciences and specialising in paediatrics. I kind of then came across this therapy by chance, really. I had a back injury last year which kind of threw my life totally off. I used to be an active person, and this was just kind of a big barrier for me. I went down the medical route a lot, had many investigations and everything like that, but I kind of only got to a certain point where they were only doing so much for me. So I decided I would look into complementary and alternative therapies, did a lot of research, and then came across the ergo techniques of my abdominal therapy. And then that's kind of how
that's where the journey started.
Where it started.
And of course, like that, you know, we do take our health so much for granted until such times as and I suppose as a nurse as well, you're used to it being about other people more than actually about yourself. So as you say, I'm sure that was a big pause on life and where life was going for you as well at such a young age to be stumbled across that. And I think that's one of the things as well, that often when we're looking at holistic therapies, they can be complementary and in most cases should be used complementary to whatever else is happening as well. So it doesn't have to be an either or, it can be a both, because even just from a relaxation point of view, when the body's relaxed, it's going to respond much better. And so that your investigations then led you to find out a bit more about abdominal massage, and that took you on another journey.
It did.
And can you tell us a wee bit more about the technique and what's used and how it works? Or
so it's based on an ancient Mayan techniques from Belize in South America, and then it was developed upon by a lady, a doctor called Rosita Arvego. She was based in Chicago and then moved to Belize, and that's how she came across it, and then has adapted these Mayan abdominal techniques really for her, and that's how we've come across the Arvego techniques of my abdominal therapy. It's basically like a holistic approach to healthcare. It's a specialised massage working on the upper and lower abdominal areas. It helps to align the organs, helps to promote the blood flow, the lymphatic systems, and just stimulate them and make sure that all the organs in your abdomen are working to their optimum health.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that often when we talk about massage, we look at the back as the most, as the spine being the area, but increasingly posture related problems do have an impact on the internal organs as well. I know a few years ago I would have been a big advocate of and still do wear MBT shoes that can help, for anybody that's maybe not familiar with MBTs, but basically they help to align the spine correctly so that our posture and we walk in the way that we were designed as humans to walk, and it encourages us to do that. But I would have found not just a benefit on my back and hips and knees and all the structural all the bone parts. I also would have found a big impact on my digestion, frequency in going to the toilet, things like that, whenever I was wearing them, because again, you've increased the space in the internal cavity, and that allows all the organs to have room and space to do what they need to do, really, doesn't it? So I presume there's a bit of a correlation between the two.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. We're working upper and lower abdomen. We also do a bit of posterior work, a bit of work on the back, and that we will work on the pelvis and the sacrum and the coccyx to help try and correct any imbalances there might be in the pelvis. It's maybe helping, I suppose, shift those organs to one side or the other. So it kind of all goes in line together.
Yeah, it all, and I think that with holistic treatments, and that's sometimes where we find the difference. A few episodes ago, I had an acupuncture therapist in as well, an acupuncturist, and we were talking about that overall approach, that you don't rarely will a holistic therapist, by nature, obviously the holistic element is treating both the mind and the body and the spiritual aspect of a person, or the energetic aspect of them. So rarely is it that one part of the body is treated in isolation.
Yeah, that's very true.
They work integrated, and primarily, I suppose, increasingly, my knowledge of my massage techniques will be around fertility. Would that be the main area of work, or how does that?
It can be. Another big area really would be digestion as well. Anybody who has digestive problems, it could help them, the likes of Crohn's, irritable bowel syndrome, and constipation and things like that, because obviously you are stimulating and correcting that. But yes, fertility and reproductive problems for women is really, really a big issue at the minute, and this can help. I
just think it's so sad, really, whenever you talk, but even to young girls, and increasingly I do a lot of work with children and teenagers, so I'm obviously stumbling across a lot of those problems, but where you're finding young girls and even women who dread that particular time of the month, because it has such a negative impact on their lives. And okay, we need to take it easy, and we need to rest, we need to ensure our body's being supported in the right way, but it really shouldn't be just a case of accepting something so debilitating that for 2 or 3 days every month you're suffering.
Yeah, you're totally right. When I was kind of looking for volunteers or guinea pigs when I was first practicing, I was getting a lot of friends and family who were like, oh, I don't have any issues, but sure, I'll get a belly rub and it'll be great. And it wasn't really until we had done, the therapy and finished the treatment, and they've maybe come back and said, gosh, like I thought that was normal, every month, but it's really not, and I'm only noticing now the change for the better. But people just think it's something they have to live with, and they might think, oh, it's just normal, or they don't want to talk about it. And it's not until maybe you've seen the other side and seen the better, you think, God, I was really bad off there.
Yeah, and as I say, women particularly do just accept this as, oh, sure, it'll pass, and it's happened to me, and it's always, and that's what all women go through. And I suppose more and more maybe women are, but I think a lot of that has to do with lifestyle changes as well, like from one of the big areas, obviously, as a reflexologist, I would see quite a lot of women. I'm treating quite a few women for fertility, and have done. And I was sharing this story with Michelle earlier, where one of my very first case studies was a fertility case study, albeit that the girl who was coming to me just came to relax, which is always the best. It's always when the body's in the right place to conceive, if the person can get to a stage of relaxation, which again is a catch-22, because you're being told to relax, and the last thing you're able to do, because every person you're meeting saying to you, well, any news babies yet, and all of those bits and pieces that go into that. But as we were working through, within sort of 8 sessions, the girl that I was working with found out that she was pregnant, and what fascinated her was whether reflexology had a part to play or not. One of the things that she did definitely find was that as she was more relaxed, she was able to it took the edge off, and it helped. And I think that's one of the things. Yeah, that's something
definitely we promote. I'm not here, not as our big practitioners aren't here to make any big claims that we're going to solve this and fix that, but we can help to benefit people's health and their journey, be that just journey to better health, to de-stress, or the journey to get pregnant. And definitely I feel that, just going to the sessions and relaxing, we would put women who are trying to get pregnant on like a 3-month plan. For that 3 months, we'll say, okay, we're just going to focus on trying to get your body and your uterus and your womb and that in the optimal, really positioned to accept.
To support pregnancy. And
you know, and it's kind of just when you get to that stage that the person relaxes and the focus is off getting pregnant and more so taking control of their own health and their own body.
Yeah, and I think that's an important, because even with reflexology, you know, and in fact just today I hit, you know, there's this story that goes around that reflexology makes you induces you earlier, you know, and it's one of those things that can get linked. Maybe the experience happens for one person, and then suddenly everybody's saying, oh well, a foot rub helps you get pregnant, or reflexology can help you get pregnant, or massage can help you get pregnant, or reflexology can help you go earlier and bring the baby on and things like that. And all any of these therapies are ever doing is bringing you right back to the right state of mind and being, really, would be the big area that I would look at. But I suppose there's also lifestyle advice that comes as well.
Yeah, that's right. We would take really like a holistic approach to it, and it's not just, you're not just going in for a belly rub and you know that's it. It can be spiritual and emotional as well. We work on the Reiki and armor rings around the abdomen area, where a lot of women would carry negative emotions, like stress and fear and anxiety and that. So a lot of women can have emotional releases after this, which can then go on to help them. It can be quite just relaxing experience.
And again, I know whenever Michelle and I were chatting earlier, we were talking about even just factors that, you know, it might not be that somebody that's watching in or listening to our conversation today is in that stage of their lives or whatever, but I think for all women it's important to maintain a healthy uterus, a healthy womb. It allows your body to it allows you to feel better when the very core part of what makes you a woman is feeling better, and balance and your feminine energy. But one of the things that I would be quite aware of would be the role that chemicals in cosmetics, for example, can play. And synthetic estrogens, and people look at you and go, synthetic estrogens, you know, what are they? But basically, if it doesn't say on a product that they're not in there, whether that's a shower gel, a moisturiser, they're there as a preservative. If it doesn't state that they're not in it, they most likely are. Is really the rule of thumb, is the easiest way. So often I would find people saying to me, but what products contain them? And I'm like, all of them. And we don't think that these products can be having an impact. Is that?
Yeah, that's it. We would definitely go down that line as well. I suppose your skin as well as an organ, and whatever you're going to put in it is going to go through to the rest of your body and transfer all around it. So it's important to make sure you're taking care of it and taking care of yourself. So, you know, estrogens in your diet, and that would be a very important part, especially for women, women going through menopause and that as well. Like, I understand everyone's lifestyle is different, and I'm not saying buy everything organic. And do you know what?
It's not always possible.
Whatever you can do, but even if it's just that one wee thing, maybe changing the meat in your diet to organic. It contains less, you know, estrogens. Even that can make a big difference.
I would again, that same one, I would sort of say, you know, milk and certainly chicken and meat, if we can make an adjustment. And it might be a case of eating less of them, but that's not going to do anybody really any harm to, you know, to look at that. So there's times there where I might have, when I first became aware of, I'm pretty much sitting now where I would eat a lot less meat than what I did. But that's been a journey over a period of 2, maybe 3 years. But initially, when I started to become aware of food supply and what chemicals were in food products and things like that, I made the decision, well, you know, I'll have less chicken in my curry or in my stir fry or whatever. I'll have a wee bit less of it, but therefore I'll have more vegetables, but I'll buy organic. And so that the cost balanced itself out a wee bit. And it is doing, as you say, it's doing what works. But even if it's 1 day a week, or it's 2 days a week, or if you can make a change, I know there's some of the I suppose healthy eating even pages that you would come across on Facebook and stuff like that would advocate even meat-free Monday. Where just 1 day a week you make a change. So it doesn't have to be an all or nothing.
No, it doesn't have to be dramatic, no.
Yeah, and it's where I would say to people is, it's do what you can do. Something's better than nothing. And for me, that's one of the reasons where like the likes of the cosmetics can work quite well, because they're kind of conscious purchases. There's things that you know, I need to buy that, but you're only buying it once a month. So it's an easier one to nearly make the shift. And again, there's so many of the parabens going on to the skin that your body still has to break down. So so it's all very exciting, a new chapter for you now to work through and to bring this wonderful therapy to women, really. And I think more and more women are maybe, and again, there's probably a wee bit of a sweeping generalisation, but we're nearly disconnecting from our feminine energy. We're becoming more masculine in what we do and in how we approach life. But to take that time to just nurture the core of ourselves, and whether that's our uterus or womb area, or whether that is our digestion, because again, so much of our stress affects how we break down food.
As well, in our initial consultations, when people come, we're very into empowering people to take control of their own health. So unlike other massages you might just go in and get, ours will teach you different techniques then you can do at home, and you can be doing them in between treatments. Self-care we call it, and it's just important just so you can really take control of it and you can be managing it to really help improve your own health.
And that's where I think if we all take responsibility for our own health and our well-being, rather than shifting it off to a doctor or even a holistic therapist or whoever it is, but if we make choices day and daily, and of course it's nice to go for the treatments because you're taking time out for yourself, but there's so many things, and I would include a wee bit of that with my reflexology treatments, where I would give people hand reflexology techniques that can support what they're doing. And it's okay if you can go once a month, once every 6 months, whatever you can do, but there's daily stuff that we can all be doing to look after our health and our well-being. And obviously your own success with it then was allowed you to go across.
Because I really went through the treatments myself as a client, and I had great benefit from it. I suppose with my abdomen and with my back pain, I wanted to get the word out there and let people know there's over 200 practitioners in the US. At the minute, in between the North and the Republic of Ireland, I'm only one of 10, so it's very new and it's kind of only up and coming. And I basically just want everybody to go and have a treatment, everyone to try it, just to see the benefits of it, for even those people who think, oh well, there's nothing wrong with me and I'm fine, and it's great.
Prevention, I'm a big believer, prevention's better than cure, and in fact the time to go for a massage or for a treatment is not when you need it. It's way long before you need it, because when your body has already got itself unbalanced enough that you feel you need it, then you have an uphill struggle to try and bring it back in. Whereas if we can work on a prevention's better than cure, and this is a maintenance thing, this keeps everything working. And as you say, adapting then self-care stuff in between treatments is a very empowering place to be, because once we take back our power ourselves, then we're in control, really, aren't we?
And you get to know your body more and recognise signs, and maybe you can get to that where it'll not get to that stage where your body's in crisis and out of balance. You can kind of maybe catch it before you get there.
And you mentioned babies benefiting as well.
Obviously I'm a paediatric nurse, so I'm kind of
that's kind of
an interest alongside this. But brilliant for babies with constipation, infants and children really, gastroesophageal reflux, which is a real big issue at the minute. So it's all those wee things that might be worth trying out, before you've maybe got to that stage.
And again, I do baby reflexology classes where it's teaching the parents to work a bit like some of the baby massage techniques where the parents can work on the children, because it's such a short treatment, reflexology, that you want to be doing a wee bit of it every day, particularly for babies. It's only like 5 minutes or so a day max.
Would be similar,
it's really empowering the parents to take responsibility. But, and I was just speaking to someone yesterday, and I was saying, I don't know if it's just that I'm now in that space, that I'm hearing more and more, but I'm just hearing so many wee babies suffering with colic and reflux and problems that come with that.
That's true.
I think one of the other things then too is supporting the mother with that, because it's so exhausting.
Well, that's it, and I suppose it brings back a bit of power then to the parents as well. We even go right down to just even different techniques for changing their nappy, even that you're not going to be kind of readjusting the spine and the pelvis and all the organs, you're not shifting them about. It's just wee things like that can be, it's just simple things that they can really manage every day, and it just, I suppose, gives the parents a bit of power and a bit of control over things.
And that's, I think, one of the most difficult things as a new mummy, whether that's a first time mummy or a 10th time mummy, because you're still a new mummy with a new baby, is that helplessness that I can't do anything for this wee person who's suffering. But as you say, when you can pass on some everyday stuff, then that can shift and change hopefully how a mummy's feeling in those distraught days when there's sleepless nights and there's, you know, they're frustrated and really quite anxious and worried about where it might be going. And you know, so many now, we're hearing so many intolerances and different things as well, and that's a really tough time for a mummy and for a father as well. You know, again, often you find too that the father's maybe juggling late nights with a job. Luckily, you know, we live here where women do have a certain time of maternity leave and things like that, but in the cases where the father's there, he's maybe then up during the night and then off and trying to hold down and focus on a job where his employer's still expecting him to do whatever, or if he's self-employed, he still has to function properly. So and it all sounds really, really exciting, Michelle.
Yeah, it is.
And if someone was interested in finding out more information, what's the best way of getting in contact with you?
At the minute, my website's under development, so I suppose you can get me via email or my telephone number.
Brilliant, and if you want to, do you want to share with me your email address?
Yes, it's just mathersmichelle@hotmail.com.
Fairly an easy one.
Easy one.
That's mathersmichelle@hotmail.com, and when we obviously put up the show and that, we'll on demand, we'll include your contact details with that as well. And again, if anybody's interested in getting in touch with Michelle, they can obviously contact me and I can pass on your details as well, because I'm hoping to get booked in sooner rather than later. It all sounds great. And as I say, thanks a million for your time today, and thanks to our viewers for watching in. And if you do have any questions at all, you can either get in contact with myself through Destination Uri or via my website, www.trythealternative.net. And Destination Wellbeing goes out both on a Tuesday and a Thursday. So if anybody's watching in, and then I join Rowan on his morning show on a Thursday morning, so we'll be recapturing and catching up on some of the bits and pieces that we've talked about today on the morning show. So thank you very much.